Hi everyone, I'm Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are finally going to do our Pretty Little Liars Season 2 of Original Sin review. Um, or feelings, thoughts of it. I know this came very, 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 very late. Lots of things have been happening, lots of exciting, beautiful things have been happening in life, and like I said, make videos when I can, and I enjoy doing it, but it just needs to be done when I can. And if that means delaying videos, then that means putting them on the shelf until I can get to them. Um, so, uh, I loved season 1 of Original Sin. I binged watched it, and I thought it was so spooky, so beautiful. And then season 2 came out, and this one is labeled Pretty Little Liars Original Sin Summer School. And of course, like, we knew it was going to be like them in summer school, something's going to happen. From the trailer, we saw that there is this new like killer or a kind of person, um, and essentially that person ends up being the quote unquote mother of Archie Waters, who was the killer in the first one. And this lady is called Bloody Rose Waters, and she's Angela Waters' mother as well, and wants basically revenge. And so the whole season is basically, them dealing with this new killer again. They're getting threats, they're getting text messages, calls, and then there's this site called Spooky Spaghetti, which there was this meme around the time, and it was on TikTok, where it's like, if Mouse says Spooky Spaghetti one more time, I'm gonna lose it. And I'm like, that is me. That is me. Every single episode, she just mentioned it. I'm like, girl, I get that this website is a major component in, the murders and everything, but this is getting kind of exhausting. And there was just a lot of like really cringy, really repetitive things where I'm like, why? We had that girl who worked in the movie theater. I'm terrible with names, I'm telling you. And her boss like got really into it this season, and I thought they were okay. I thought they just kind of were like awkward after what happened in the first series with them, and he was like taking her to his house, and she thought that he wanted to date her, but that wasn't. He just was very angry and power hungry and really racist and so annoying in this season. And then he ends up being, spoiler alert, the killer, and like helping basically the guy who raped Imogen and what's her name, the girl from the movie theater, and basically like is the father of the baby. And like Archie Waters ended up killing him because he broke out. And I think that's like how it starts, where they were like, Archie Waters got out of prison and they were like freaking out, and then he died, and then there's this new Rose Waters person. The fact that Archie Waters just like died like in a breakout, it was just like, oh, it's over. And then it was just like, he died so easily. Like, I did not believe it. And then Bloody Rose comes out and everything. And this series, I think, was very social media, like, that's why Spooky Spaghetti was around heavy, like, and then she, like, Bloody Rose had these followers that like did all this stuff, and then like the awakening happened, or whatever it was called, and they were like hunting down these girls, and it was just like, this is so messed up. And the fact that nobody caught on to this is sad, like that all these kids, like the parents are just like, you're watching that creepy stuff. It's like, no, these kids were a legit part of a cult and nobody reported anything. And even like the tech teacher person who like looked into spooky spaghetti, like he could have reported it and no, like and so like then it was just one night where they all and they're attacking these girls and they're like closing in on them and they're like basically like stuck in the movie theater and it's insane. And then um Tabby's her name. Tabby ends up, I love Tabby. I love Tabby as a character, but she was a little cringy this season. She ended up like in like a church and it was live streamed and like it was basically like the movie that that one guy never made, like her boss and everything, and like he was going to kill her. And like I'm just like, how are police not catching on to this? How is this allowed? um and so I don't know, there's just a lot of like okay kind of moments. Mouse's aunt was very strange. Something, she was on medication, but like poor Mouse, like she never had a chance, like and then she ended up in like that spooky like Five Nights at Freddy kind of place, Chuck E. Cheese, and like her aunt just dropped her off there and was just like, oh, like you guys are throwing a party for her, right? And it was just like so many like random unfortunate things just happening to poor Mouse, and on her birthday. I love that we saw new love interest in this season. I love Tabby's new love interest. I love how they kind of kept it PG and like, you know, they were just kind of being cutesy and everything. Imogen and the what's his name? The guy that serves ice cream, like, girl, you literally locked him in a fridge. And this guy literally repeatedly was like, it's okay. We'll make it through this. Let me know what's happening, please. Like, you know, what's on your mind? Like, you know, being so catering to her and caring and on her side for everything when she like literally, I think she like slapped like her dad's girlfriend or whatever. Like, and he's just like, okay. And I'm like, girl went off the rails so many times. And like, they broke up. Like, obviously, like, you locked him in a fridge. And I get that you freaked out. But like, you freaked out so much. She was like, I mean, I guess I understand. But girl, like there was no saving that relationship. Watch them try to like, you know, make it happen again. um but yeah, oh my goodness. And then the whole like, what was it, the religious group cult thing as well. There was like two different cults in this series with like just like saying like these mumble jumble seancey things, and I just was like, well then. And they were doing this whole like play or like experience in Imogen's house, and the fact that what's her name, the blonde hair girl, the one whose twin died last season, was just like, it was Redemption House. Like, we're just doing it, you know, to show what is wrong in the world and blah blah this, and I'm doing it for my sister and my mom, and your mom is beats you up and locks you in a room. It was very like Carrie vibes. Like, you know, you need to pray for your sins, and like she was like involved with like the pastor, and the pastor was killed, and like Bloody Rose was just killing like just random people, like, and just making the girls like do these like traumatic like test kind of fear factor things. And like they got away from each of them, you know, and it wasn't until the end where it's like, let's just kill Tabby. And then like the other girls will get killed by like the cult members, and I'm just like, it went all over the place. There was no like clear anything. We were like here, there, and whatever thing that they could come up with this like happened. I think I loved the first season so much because it was just very like, this is our murderer. This is what like got me with Pretty Little Liars too. Like, yeah, like every season there was a different, A, or like there's more, there was like a suspect for a while, whatever the case may be, but then they made that person seem like very like sketchy for like 2 or 3 episodes, and then everything was fine, and I was just like, why you gotta do that? I liked that Original Sin was very much, this is the killer, this is what's happening, like we're finding out who the killer's true identity is. We find out at the end, killer goes to jail, but you're seeing all this stuff happen. It's very much how what is it called, I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of vibes, like, and I really liked it. It was more modern and everything, and like I loved how Pretty Little Liars was kind of that at first, and then but I still loved Pretty Little Liars. I really loved the Pretty Little Liars cast and characters, and I really loved the Original Sin characters. I think that just the spooky vibe of it, and just kind of like the cliffhangers were just enough. It wasn't too far fetched, or it was like reaching for things that weren't there or could possibly be there, but it was just more like I was at the edge of my seat. I didn't see things coming, but I wasn't like, what? Like, and I feel like season 2, I had a lot of those moments. There were some really good episodes though. But then there were also a lot of episodes where I was just like, well then. Like the one where the murderer ends up being Imogen's mom, and it's this mask, and there was all these things about mask and everything, and that's why Tabby's boyfriend like was someone that they thought could be the killer, and like there was all these parallels of like, it could be this person, it could be that person, and that I liked. I was like, okay, like you never know who it's gonna be. There's so many like reasons why it could be this person and that person. It wasn't very clear, and that I felt like, okay, that was nice. But like that episode was a good episode. I liked the Mouse's birthday episode. I thought, what's her name? Is it Simone? I don't know her name. The girl who was the ballerina, and then she had her boyfriend, she was like lying to her boyfriend about like not going to like the summer camp for ballet and everything, and she was going to get back into ballet, but she didn't want to. And then the boyfriend ended up joining like the religious cult thing, and she broke up with him, and now she's interested in the guy that the other twin was dating, and the original twin I think was also dating, and just like, okay. But yeah, and then like he reveals that his cousin is in I think it's in Riverdale, and like so they're all linked. I know that, but I never watched Riverdale and everything. Imogen, like it's revealed that she didn't give her baby to Ezra and Aria, which made me very sad. And then like she's like, well, that Ezra person was really sketchy, and then someone put on TikTok, they were like, well, yeah, like Ezra did this and this and this with Allison, remember? And I was just like, oh, that's right. Like they were my favorite couple, but when you analyze it, like it was just honestly for the show, because like you can't support that. Like that was so messed up. Like everything that about that was so messed up. But like I was kind of sad that the baby didn't go to them, and the baby did go to a family that like she constantly checked up on, because like I was just like, Imogen, like just why couldn't you keep the baby, like, but there was nobody to help her out. She was living with Tabby. I kind of understand, but then she was like, basically always checking in on this baby and bombarding on these people's lives, like, you know, like, it just was really messed up. And the baby got like wrapped into like the whole thing at one point, and then it was just like the poor child, like this child. um so it was a whirlwind of a season for sure. I loved how the ballerina girl, she ended up like, you know, kind of owning herself and like kind of spitting in the face of like the killer, like, you know, I can do things, you know, I'm strong, and like I can beat you. But she also kind of like, you know, wanted to take on them on their own, and like that didn't work out. They all needed each other. And this all took place when they were like in summer school, just trying to pass a test to like move up to the next grade and everything. And then at the end they didn't pass the test, and then it's like, oh, like that was the whole point of them going to summer school. Like they should have been held back. But then like, of course, like the magic of TV series, like they can take it again, and then they pass it. Yay, congrats for them. And then the therapist who like ends up like using them for her book, and then her son ends up being having been killed before, and then like she is like also kind of entangled in this and is also a suspect, and then at the end and dies, and like doesn't even care about the girls. And I'm just like, what? But like that was interesting. But so many things happened at that point where I was just like, okay. And yeah, it was a lot. It was cringy at times. There were some, like I said, good moments. But I'm hoping that whatever they do next season, like I don't even know, like who knows who the killer is going to be, you know? But like it could be anybody. Oh, and then that one girl, like she's with her boyfriend, and then she ends up like, you know, she was with this girl like at one point, and she has feelings for her, and this girl comes back, and then the boyfriend gets angry, and then she goes and she starts hitting his car with the bat, and I'm just like, what is happening? And I'm just like, okay. Like good for you, but that got bad really fast. But I'm hoping that next season we get more of that kind of like spooky, like pre-Halloween or like Halloweeny kind of feel. And like you could just sit down and binge watch it, and like not feel like you're overstimulated and have to overthink. And I feel like just for me, as a person with anxiety, and I could, you know, I can only be speaking for myself at the here, but like at this point, like I think that I've noticed that movies or TV shows that require me to think way more out of the box than I want to or need to, or that is possible for me, is just a lot. Because I already think very out of the box. I'm like, okay, that, you know, but I think in that moment when you're like, you know, relaxing, you kind of want your brain to like, you know, unless you're watching a movie specifically for that. But then I don't like it when it's too like, you know, and doesn't make sense. So I kind of like that it was just like, it got me thinking, the original series, but like in a nice, good way, if that makes sense. That like I do like TV shows and movies that get me thinking, but I just feel like sometimes we can go in so many different directions to the point where it's like, are we even making sense anymore? And I just felt like that was this season for me, at least. But I've seen like people posting like reviews and stuff, and they said that it wasn't as good as the first season, and I can agree with that. They might have different reasons as to why. But yeah, that's that. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.